Hey, I've actually been out of the house twice to see two recent movies.
Me too.
So I'm loaded for bear, man. I am ready. So first of all,
I might have seen them.
Let's talk. I'm sure you have. Let's talk about the movie that we missed last week because we were off last week. Sully, Clint Eastwood's new movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sully Dully?
I think your review was dead on.
I am really shocked by. I went to it today, and I was really thrilled with it. I was really surprised at how much I liked it.
Wow.
That's good.
I mean, I thought it was well edited, well acted, economical. I loved the sound effects, the sound design in it, and I just felt it was extremely well done. I mean, even though I knew how it turns out, I was still riveted by certain scenes. It didn't have that kind of. Sometimes when you see a Clint Eastwood movie, there's performances in it that are kind of stiff and dead because of his one take. Method of he's like, it'll be fine, or whatever. Even though I always flash back to those horrible, the kids in Bridges of Madison County, the adult
awful
kids, the worst. And some of those some of the Vietnamese actors and Gran Torino were also
What about
awful.
the orangutan? Every which of the two orangutan movies. I mean, let's not forget those. Don't leave them out. Please don't leave those out.
He was overacting.
But let's admit, we got to admit that orangutan was a one-take actor. I bet.
He was.
Come on.
I don't know what he's going to take. I don't even know if he's going to take out of that orangutan.
It helped that he had Ruth Gordon there with him. But I really dug it. I was like, I don't know what Jamie. Why did you guys, not react to it well?
Well, I can be very honest, because I read Jamie's review, and I read Jen Yamato's review at the Daily Beast, and God, I should not have read Jen.
Just
no. I read those two, but Jen Yamato put the germ in my head of the movie, comparing it to Flight with Denzel Washington, and it put that germ in my head. Now, I think I like the movie a little bit more than Jamie, and I think don't get me wrong. I think technically it's a great film. I think there's it's a very short film. It's very quick. It goes by. You don't even know.
I love that
time.
part of it.
Yeah, I think that may be the film's greatest strength. And actually, I think the last line of the movie by Aaron Eckhart is, perfect. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to, like I said, you can find great...
Although it was weird that was the ending. Like, whoa, there's not even, a coda or anything here.
And that was part of my critique, that, that inelegant final fade-out, that's the end of it? That's... speaks to the failure of the entire movie for me. It's all so kind of impersonal and business as usual and matter of fact, and it's Eastwood just, making a movie. There doesn't seem to feel to be any kind of investment in it. And generally, I find that with a lot of Eastwood's recent movies, even though occasionally he stumbles, like I always say, he stumbles into art. Something that resonates on a deeper level, something that has conflict in it that resonates, like an American Sniper. This one, it's a 3-minute flight. I thought they did the flight stuff really well. Other elements of the story surrounding it were not revelatory to me. It was not as great a story. It's very typical. And for him to have an attitude about Sully that he's just doing his job. Well, the flight investigators, they're just doing their job too. But they were painted
true.
Kind of like they were painted as very obviously for me until the very end when they finally were able to laugh at themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that if I had a criticism of the movie, I wish that they had clarified those those roles a little bit more. Like maybe had a scene with them
depths.
talking amongst themselves.
Those are depths that Eastwood is not interested in. They take too much time. The other thing is, and he doesn't have much time left. Maybe that's what he's thinking when he makes movies. I got to get through this. I don't have much time. But the other thing is the wife. You know, you got a great actress in Laura Linney and
that's
the Bowen
sad.
Performance.
Yeah.
The other thing beyond
have you guys seen that Amy Schumer? I think Amy Schumer did this thing where the skit was it's the Best Actress award at the Oscars, and they show the clips, and each of the actresses are on the phone to the male lead. And I was like,
that's kind of true.
You know,
and the other thing is that I didn't think the Sully character was that interesting. He did something, and you know, the whole going back to his childhood and how much he loved planes and everything. That one scene was kind of perfunctory, because we don't really see any more of his life. It's not a biopic in the standard sense. And he had no flaws. Even the only note of discord in his life, really, or his character, was a conversation with his wife where they intonate that he has money problems and he might lose the house. But the only reason why that was put there is to make him seem even more heroic and a great guy for not accepting money from all the media requests he's getting.
Right.
It was a complicated character.
Well, what I found interesting about it was that he was a person that was uncomfortable with the label of a hero, and you know, he just says, "Listen, I'm just doing my job and doing it to the best of my ability," and just because you do that doesn't make you a hero.
Right.
I mean, you know, he did assist, and he did, you know, save those 155 lives, but again, he's just doing his job, and you know, I agree with a lot of your comments, but I still found it compelling and a really enjoyable watch. You know.
And by the way, I think that Sully's probably a really good guy. But maybe he's not a person that you want to devote. You know, you can't devote an interesting biopic to. But at the same time, I don't think anyone worships that hero more than the movie itself, because he hasn't got a single damn flaw. The only potential for complication in the movie that I thought was the seed was there, and it would have been so interesting if they had been able to do something with it, is when you sense that he might be doubting himself. Is it possible that I saved 155 people and yet I still made the wrong decision? Like those little bitty moments when you get a sense of him questioning himself, that was the drama for me, and it just wasn't followed through on.
I just thought that I felt like they just told the story pretty straightforwardly and didn't augment it with any needless trauma, I guess. I mean, I felt it was quite dramatic enough, both the event and the grilling of him, which, by the way, happens after every airline event.
Insane, but let me, guys, you guys might hate me even more. I didn't, there's a failure of, and I guess if there's a problem I have with the movie, there's a failure of screenwriting. Whenever you have a character has to tell what the movie is about, actually give like a one or two sentence summary. I mean, the most horrible example of this actually is, speaking of, is in The Phantom Menace. Little Jake Lloyd, before has to give the summary of the whole entire goddamn saga in one sentence. I'm not going to repeat it, but he does it at that dinner sequence, and when they're and he gives the whole basically the whole summary of basically all 6 or 7 movies at this point. But there's a character in Sully says, well, this town could really use some good news involving a plane, and that's there. I think Eastwood does such a good job, actually, up till then, showing that he doesn't need to have a character tell us that. I know that's nitpicking. I know I sound like a screenwriting professor when I say that, but I just was kind of blown away that he would actually have a character say that.
Well, I'm sure somebody probably actually did say that to Sully, maybe. But at the same time, it's the difference between being an artist and being a workman. And I think Eastwood is a workman in this movie. An artist would have made that 9/11 stuff resonate.
Right. Well, just visually. I felt like it resonated visually. You know, it was unavoidable from the first moment.
Right. Oh yeah.
There's also this. I mean, I always say about true stories, I say, don't change the facts unless what you're changing it to is more interesting than the facts.
Yes.
We've said that
absolutely.
a lot on the show. This is one of the very few instances where I sat in this movie and I was thinking, could you just make some shit up? Because it has to be more interesting than what he went through after the crash.
Well, I mean, maybe it wasn't maybe it might not be a movie that had to have been made. I would say that it lacks that urgency. But I still found it entertaining. I don't know. I can't say
that's fine.
More.
No, it's not. It is entertaining, Dean. Don't get me wrong. And I think the point I was making is you had especially the dream sequences were so horrific that you can't. I thought Eastwood did such a good job saying, yeah, there's still these ghosts of 9/11 in us, and then, but to have a character actually come out and say that, I know that's nitpicky. I know people are listening.
It was kind of a throwaway. I felt like that.
Okay.
I felt like that line was kind of slipped in there.
Yeah.
And
no, you're
I
right.
didn't think there was. I didn't feel like there was big arrows pointing at it.
I did like two things about the movie. I like Tom Hanks, and I think he's a much more capable actor than the role gave him an opportunity to show. But I think he's a really strong, reliable, trustworthy presence, and that's just what that movie needed in that lead character. Secondly, I like when they were crashing that the passengers did not freak out. It was very solemn in the plane, and that made it feel a little bit creepier, like impending doom is really, when I don't know. Who knows how we would react if we were in that position, but would we take that time to reflect, or would we take our last moments to scream and holler? And you don't know. It was nice to see the other end of it, the other side of that in this movie.
I think I got from everybody was just so shocked that it was happening so soon after their takeoff. They were like, oh, since they hadn't achieved a tremendous altitude at that point, they probably weren't as scared as they might have been.
No, that's a good point, because that's what I kept thinking of. I didn't, this is just how ignorant I am. I didn't realize it happened just like moments after liftoff. I was just like, oh shit, wait a second, this happened. Oh my god. I mean, no, but I have to say.
I mean, they hadn't even gotten their peanuts yet.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it was such in that sense. It had this anti-Irwin Allen kind of feel to it that was refreshing. In that sense, I have to say that.
No hysteria, but again, to have put in hysteria might have been too much work for Clint Eastwood. I'm just saying.
I'm glad that he didn't, and I'm glad that he controlled the performances of those. The secondary characters of the passengers and everything, because I was afraid that those were going to be the performances I was going to drub on.
Right.
But I thought everybody was fine in it.
What you say is valid. I mean, I'm not in total disagreement with you. I guess I was more of a stickler for those problems than you were, because you had an entertaining time watching it.